Greetings, dear ones. I'm Cryon of Magnetic Service. It's not often that we sit outside and channel for a group, a soul group that knows each other. And I'm not talking about that which you would think that you've met those and you know their names. I'm speaking of a soul knowing. What if I told you that the potential of the exact ones who are here was known in advance because it fell together perfectly? That you would be here under the trees with me. Under the trees. Sitting on a mountain of crystal. An energy which has no scientific proof, but that affects that which is you call consciousness. It talks to you. And some of you know you can talk back. There are those who would say, well, this is silly and this is nonsense and it really doesn't work that way in the real world. Oh, really? I will tell you what happens. In so many countries where there is a strong emphasis on the ancestry's belief systems that are modern countries, one of them is Ireland, where they're very, very careful when they draw property lines to steer around the fairy trees and never disturb them. Never pull them up. This is the government's decision, and this has been the way of it. There are other officials and governments who will go out of their way when they build something to be careful that it is appropriate with that which is the energy of the land, the shamans, all of that invisible fairy stuff that so many say is ridiculous, ends up in Parliament when they have to draw the lines. There is a subtle acknowledgement still to this day of some of the ancestors' wisdom when it comes to the energy of the earth. The energy of the earth. Where are you sitting? The crystalline remembers. This mountain of crystals will never forget you being here. And I'm giving you a truth. The crystalline grid remembers who visits where because of the energy that is developed in consciousness that you have. But it is amplified if you recognize it. How many of you are willing internally to say, I love you, planet Earth? This is understood, it is heard, it is acknowledged, and the ancients all knew it. They knew it. We've lost that, you'd say, as humans. You're right, you have. But that doesn't mean you cannot rekindle it because it's inside you, dormant, ready to be rekindled. You don't have to learn it again. You don't have to learn love. You come in with everything intact, sacred, mastery is there, and then it's trained out of you. And then your culture has its way with you. And then you learn what's appropriate and not appropriate, and then it goes and hides in the back room. Maybe until today. How many of you are willing to say, I believe that there is an energy, a life kind of energy in the crystalline of the planet that knows me? And you don't have to say that out loud to anyone. It's about allowance inside you. Back to Ireland. The group that was there, much like a group here, was sitting around a group of rocks, a sacred group of rocks. And the meditation began by an Irish woman who was born there and lived there and knew of the energy. And the first thing she said is this phrase: the rocks are breathing. In other words, they're breathing. In her accent, the rocks are breathing. The rocks are breathing. This was her acknowledgement of a belief that they have had all along, that there is life in the elementals of planet Earth that we think are dormant, that have no life, and that these elementals know us. Not just know us, placed here for us, for you, for all that is humanity, for me too. And so what I am giving you here in this brief time is a lineage of belief that says this planet of yours has a kind of multidimensional life that knows you. Now, the next question is, how do they feel about you? That's a hard one. There is no consciousness like yours, but there is something else. You should know this. This planet is here to serve you. Take a breath. Go ahead, take a breath. That oxygen was given you by the trees, by the moss, by the lichens, all over the planet, poured into the atmosphere so you can survive. As you exhale, you realize that you are giving the trees, the lichen, the moss, what they need to survive. A symbiotic relationship which science simply takes for granted and says, isn't it nice, isn't it interesting? Could it be it's part of another life form besides trees and lichens? What if it's the earth itself? What is its attitude toward you? I will tell you, no matter what you are told you have done to this planet, which is awful, and there's been a lot of awful stuff, this planet is here to love and support you. I have just given something that is extremely controversial. It's a benevolent planet for you, wherever you go. All you're going to find is support. That's the design, dear ones. That's the design. A partnership with Gaia. A partnership to the extent that the ancients all knew it and used it, worked with it, counted on it. And in there somewhere is all that you are starting to reawaken to. Is it possible that there's more going on here than you think? Is it possible the planet itself has a kind of sentience, maybe even an attitude that says, please come back. We miss you. And what are they talking about when they say that to you? When the crystals look at you here sitting and say, please come back, we've missed you. What they are saying is that your ancestors, old soul, knew who they were. And you don't. It's almost like they're holding their hand out. The elementals, the rocks that are breathing, you might say, that say, when your alliance is complete with us, that is the beginning of mastery for you. And that has to make sense. Can you imagine the frustration of the ancients who are still alive, who look at this civilization and say, they threw away their partner? None of their religions even mention it. This is the shift, dear ones. Many things are changing right now, but the most that is changing is your relationship to each other, to spirit, to your soul, and to the planet. It's almost like welcome back. That's what's changing. And that's why I wanted to sit here on this mountain of crystals as they talk to you today. And they're smiling. As the teacher Monica said, there is no such thing as digging into the ground and finding a doom crystal. Doesn't work that way. Because this planet is in love with you. I am Kryon. I am in love with you. And so it is.